Okay, guys, so we are back with another episode of 15 Days of Breakaway 2024, brought to you by our friends at Wrangler Jeans. Wrangler Butts Drive You Nuts. We are here with the number 5 Breakaway roper, Taylor Munsell. Taylor, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks. I'm super excited to be back. Obviously, it means I had another pretty good year.
I know. It's like, I think now it's pretty cool to see how everybody's like, I want to be on 15 Days of Breakaway. It's like, yeah, I really want to be in the top 15.
Yes. Yeah. Are you doing yourself or is Raymond gonna do you?
Yeah, so Raymond's gonna do me. I'm a little, at first I was excited that I got to be on my show this year, but then as Raymond has started like prodding and poking me about these questions, I'm really not sure about it. So getting a little anxiety.
That's what I'm definitely gonna have to listen to.
I don't know who's been more excited, me or him. But yeah, and then it's, my friends, you guys are so nice. They're like, hey, can we send Raymond questions? No, no, you can't. So, well, you came in this year number 5, $132,997. Congratulations on a 4th consecutive NFBR qualification. What does it feel like? Does it change every year making the NFBR? Is it a different sensation, different feeling, or is it just like explain what it means to you to make the NFBR 4 consecutive years?
Oh, it's such a blessing and I'm so thankful for it. This year was a whole lot different for me because the first 3 years I was always behind and then kind of had to grind it out at the end to make it. And then this year I had a good year starting in the winter, which has never happened to me before. So this year, I felt like I consistently had a consistent year, unlike I've ever had before, which is exciting to know that I'm starting to figure out how to stay consistent with my roping throughout the whole year. Um, so this year is super exciting, and I always love going to the finals. I feel like I always have a pretty good finals, and I'm excited to go try again.
Right. Well, and I think that that's one of the coolest things. What was different about this year? You talk about your consistency and being able to kind of coast in there at the end, and not coast. I mean, obviously you kicked butt and still won a ton, but just have that confidence knowing, all right, I've got it made. Now what's next?
I feel like this year I tried to not take a break from. Normally, I would take a break from riding my good horses and stuff after the finals and ride green horses and young horses. And this year I stayed on finished horses a whole lot more between the NFR and Fort Worth, like going to the rodeo San Diego and doing good there. And then riding Lex's futurity horse and winning money there, like winning and staying in tough competition mode, I feel like helped a lot going into the winter rodeos this year for me.
Well, and let's talk a little bit about, pre-winter rodeos. You won a huge check at Latricia Duke's roping horse futurity. It was an amazing event. But yeah, you walked away with like what, $70,000 there?
Yep.
Yeah. So talk me through that on a 4-year-old, correct? Like break it down for me.
Yeah. That was the first, super special to be a part of. Latricia put on an awesome roping. The setup was great for the babies, and the horse I rode was I don't think you could have asked one at that age to be any better in the box and going to cattle wise. Lex Christie trained him and he did a phenomenal job. I rode him one time at a jackpot the week before the roping, and then when I got in there I just rode him. I never practiced on him or nothing. Lex just had him so solid and he was so easy to achieve all that on. And that is high nerve systems. You're riding somebody else's horse on, they paid to enter the horse instead of you paying your own entry fees, and you're riding for them. And it's way more nerve wracking than winning money for yourself.
You really don't want to screw up there.
Yeah, but we won the first round, then just had to make a good run on the second round, ended up winning the average, and then got a rope in a shootout deal, which was a lot of fun, and won the shootout as well.
Awesome. Well, I think that anytime you can win that amount of money, it just really, it starts your year off great, gives you some momentum. Like you said, I love how you said, this year I did it different. I stayed on my good horses. I kept getting competitive runs. What do you, I mean, I know that we've obviously seen you come in and have a dominant year. What changed from getting those competitive runs to giving your horses off? Did you see a difference in your horses? Did you see a difference in yourself? Talk us through that just a little bit.
Well, I can't say that. I mean, I feel like for me, my horses all still got a lot of time off this year because I think that's huge, making sure that they're, I don't want to ride them when they aren't feeling good. I want to make sure they're feeling their best because they aren't the ones that asked to go do this for me. But this year, I, for the majority of the year, had all 3 horses sound. And that's where I think it helped me feeling good about riding, like staying on at least one of them throughout the year and going to some stuff that paid good and staying competitive. Like I wasn't rodeo, like driving a long ways to rodeos that I didn't need to go to and stuff on them, but I was the stuff that was close enough to go to that pays good. I was still going to.
Well, and let's talk about your 3 horses. You have Colonel Ray, Monster. You have a few little babies coming up too that are pretty good. Uh, they give you so much confidence. That's one thing that I love about you in every part of your story, interviews, anything like that. You're talking about your horses, and they're so important to you. And we have a fan question this year. We're doing a little bit different. We let a fan submit a question for everybody. And one of the questions I got for you several times was, I noticed that you turn your horse to the right multiple times after your run. What is the reason?
I don't, that was just always something I grew up raised and told to do, was turn them to the right and then finish the turn to the right. Or like in the breakaway, horses tend to want to kind of get left after the turn sometimes or after the stop sometimes, because they aren't taking a hit like calf horses. It's keeping them straight. And a lot of times our left hand gets the better of us and we get to pulling them to the left. And then after every run, I just correct my horses back to the right and turn them around to the right. And I feel like that's helped me a lot in not having horses that get left. Because it's fine if a horse does it, after you throw your rope. But I tend to make my horses get tight enough that mine would start doing it before I threw my rope.
Yeah, 100%. Talk about your consistency. You mentioned it a little bit earlier. That's one thing that, as a fellow roper, I've watched you, and I think that you've developed tremendously, as you are the most consistent breakaway roper out there. How have you developed that over the past 5 years as you've rodeoed, jackpotted, all the different things? What are some of the key things you think have helped you to develop that consistency over and over again?
Well, I'm not one to dwell on a run, but I think every run serves a purpose. And I think it's super important that even on a bad run, it's never, it just didn't go my way. Like there's something to learn from that run. Not
Right.
in a way that like beating yourself up or saying like not looking hindsight what I should have done, but like different. Like it happened. If I would have known what my calf did before I ran him, I'm sure I would have made a good run. But just like teaching myself how I could have adapted during that run to have done better for whether myself, my horse, and trying to catch on quickly. Because something that I think we all struggle with as individuals is catching on to our own habits that we pick up, especially when we're rodeoing. And I think it's important to like catch when you're getting a bad habit and try to fix it before it gets too bad. Because it's easy for somebody else to see it and tell you, but if you don't have somebody else out there helping you, then you may go a long time without realizing you have this habit until it's super hard to break.
Yeah, 100%. Tell me a little bit about, you talk about the people that are out there helping you. One of I want to tell this story. I'm not sure if you want to tell the story, but one of the coolest things I think I've heard about you and from you, you came to my house this winter, and you were telling me how you're like, this has been the funnest year of rodeo. Yeah, I've got my own rig. I've got my own horses, and you told me the first rodeo you ever entered, or maybe one of the first bigger ones you entered, you flew out there. You had nothing to ride, nowhere to stay. You have literally, with your rope, you have built up your future and where you're at now and everything that you've got and where you're headed. I think that's so cool. So tell me a little bit about that story, where you started and then how far you've come.
Yeah. So the story is going to San Juan for the rodeo they put on out there the very first year. They had the invitational breakaway where it was like 10,000 added, 100% payback. And they invited like 10 from out there and 10 from like Oklahoma and Texas and areas. And Lindsay Sumner's who invited me. And I was like, well, this is something you do not say no to. Like I was very new to breakaway still, but like I was starting to win. I was starting to kind of get some connections and get to know some people that like my idols and stuff. And I thought it was awesome. I was like, I can't say no to this. So I pulled out cash and I pulled out enough for my fees, which I think were 400. And then I had bought the plane ticket. And then I flew out there, and the flights, the way they worked to fly into the closest airline, I flew in the day before early in the morning that I was up. And I flew out there and I had $280 in my bank account. And I was like, surely that's enough. Like, I'll make it. And I got out there and got to the airport and went to order an Uber. And I was like, oh my gosh, Ubers were like $90. And I was like, oh, I can't do this or I won't have enough money to buy a hotel room, which was fine because I looked at hotels later and I couldn't afford a hotel room anyways. But I just sit outside on the curb of the airport because I had all day to kill. And finally, another guy walks out, and he's wearing a cowboy hat. So I have a cowboy hat on. We strike up conversation. And thankfully, our rodeo community is so nice and no questions asked. He was just like, I asked him if he wanted to split an Uber, and he's like, I actually got one of the bullfighters coming to pick me up. Do you want to jump in with us? And I was like, oh my gosh, that'd be life-saving. So he let me jump in with them. We were in a tiny car with the bullfighter. This guy, he was working for a stock contractor, helping plank horses, and then like 3 team ropers, and then me jammed in a tiny car. And then we get to the arena and they're dropping the team ropers off, and they're like, where do you need to go? And I was like, right here is fine. And I just bail out. I have nowhere to go. They had the first perf was that night, so there were people there, but I wasn't up till the second night. And for the most part, a lot of the people I knew were all up the second night. I didn't know nobody up the first night. So I just go to scrolling through like the list, and I see Erin Johnson's name. And I actually just told her this story for the first time this year at San Antonio, but I was like, oh, I don't know her, but I like know who she is. So I called her and I was like, hey, what are you guys doing? Can I hang out with you guys today? And they're like, well, we don't have a living quarter and we have all of our kids with us. But I mean, you're welcome to come hang out if you don't mind hanging out with the kids. And I was like, no, that sounds great. So they let me hang out with them. They take me to the ocean for the first time. They buy me tacos and just treat me like family. And then I was like, this is awesome. Well, the horse I was supposed to ride ended up not going to the rodeo. So then I find out, like, right for the first perf, I don't have a horse to ride. So we go up to the rodeo, watch the perf, and I'm talking to people. And I've seen some people I knew I was talking to, and like Cato Llewellyn was there. And he was talking to me, and he was asking why I didn't go to another roping that was in South Dakota. And I was like, well, I didn't have the money to go. I barely had the money to come here. And he was like, well, you know, people will pay your fees for you to go to stuff like that. Like, you rope too good to not be going. He's like, what are your fees here? And I was like, well, you don't want to pay my fees here. I don't know what I'm riding. And he's like, well, how about this? Just ride my horse tomorrow. He's like, Tough Cooper's already riding her in the tie down. We'll just, as soon as he gets done, we'll bring her down. You ride her in the breakaway. And I was just like, for one, I was starstruck because I hadn't met anybody in pro rodeo yet at this time. And I thought it was so cool. So they did Tough tied down on her, and they got her down the arena to me like right as the breakaway was starting, and I got on her and I got to trot one circle on her and then roped on her. And I ended up winning 4th in the rodeo, which was exactly enough money to pay for my fees, my flight, and my mount money. So I basically broke even on the whole thing. And then the best part of the whole thing is I did good, but they give you a check, obviously. So I still don't have no money. And we were talking after the rodeo, and Jackie and them were like, hey, what are you doing tonight? Like, we're going to go, when's your flight? And I was like, oh, I fly tomorrow morning. She's like, me too. She's like, we're going to go eat and stuff. What are your plans? And I was like, I have no plans. I was like, I don't have a ride. I don't have a room. I was like, I'm just here. And she's like, oh, well, just come with us. So we go eat on the beach. They found out I'd never been in the ocean, so her and Hope Thompson both ran fully clothed into the ocean with me. And then Jackie called and made her room a double bed so I could stay with her, and then took me to the airport the next morning.
I just think that's one of the coolest stories I've ever heard.
I know, looking back, it's crazy that I did it, but I'm so thankful I did. I made so many good connections with people that didn't know me enough to do anything for me, and they did. They went above and beyond, you know, opened their doors and stuff to me. And it's easy for me to think back on times like that and remember like how good this sport is and how good the people are, and like remember why I truly love doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think, you know, those memories are something that we'll never forget. And I wanted you to tell that story to say, like, the financials of this are very challenging. And I think that that's something people maybe get discouraged about in the beginning, or I can't do this because I don't have this or I don't have that. And I just love the tenacity of that story for you. You're like, hey, I didn't have it either, but I wanted to do this. I'm not turning down this opportunity. Look at all the doors that got open there, the people that you met. And I just think it's so neat to see that, how it's come full circle. And, through rodeo, through those connections, those friendships, and the success that you've had, I know that you'll do the same for somebody else, but I just think it's a truly neat story to see, just how far it's come and how great people in the rodeo world are.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had more helping and backing from people. I mean, it takes more than just wanting to do it. Like, but if you're wanting to do it and putting in the work to do it and have the try and the grit, like there's people that they're gonna help you. I'm not saying they're gonna pay your way, but there's enough people in this industry that are like myself that want to help now because I've been there through that struggle.
Right. Okay, y'all. So it turns out winter is here. It's that time of year again, and yet we are still breakaway roping. So what do you do to try to keep your ropes feeling as consistent as you possibly can? You put the Regulator Pro in your rope bag or your rope can. What is it? It is a heated pad that you can stick in your rope bag. You can stick it in your rope can. You plug it in to a cigarette lighter, to a wall plug, and your ropes feel amazing in the wintertime. I love it. I have one in all of my rope bags, in all of my rope cans. I take it with me everywhere, and it keeps your ropes feeling as consistent as possible. So if you want to get one today, check out the website, regulatorpro.com, and you can use my code JordanJoe to save 10%. It is one of the best $100 investments that you will ever make to get ready to be successful and set yourself up the next time you back in the box. Now, speaking of that, let's get back to some breakaway rope and talk. Well, and I also heard that, you're carrying on that tradition. Maddie Dearman said you guys went and jumped in a lake this year at Big Fork.
Yeah, I did. Like 40 minutes before the rodeo started, and we were the second event.
Yeah, she said we almost didn't make it to the perf, but she said I don't really think we were worried. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you weren't.
No, she was like, I want to go jump in this lake, and I was like, well, then let's do it. I was like, we're not going to do it after dark, and we're leaving at 5 a.m. So I was like, we got to do it now. And it was awesome. Like
living by the seat of your pants. That's why we call you Money Munsell. Let's talk a little bit about the NFR. You have won go round number 1 the last 2 years in a row. You come in hot, and it's fast, furious. It gets the pace going. Is that something, are you game planning on, coming out, as Coleman Proctor and Luke Branquino say, charging the front? Or are you, is that part of your game plan? Are you reacting? Talk me through how you've planned for the NFR in the past and what you're planning to do this year.
Yeah, the first year I won the first round, I was like, I'm winning the first round. Like, it was just dead set. I was winning the first round. That was my game plan. There was no other option. And then last year, I'm not saying that that's what my mindset going in was not like I'm winning the first round, but it was like, I'm not backing off the barrier or nothing at all, because if I'm going to go out in a later round, sit good and average, I'd rather have already won money doing it than like not win money the first 6 rounds and then go out and then be like, I only have 3 rounds to make it up.
Mm-hmm.
And, the average title is something that I've gotten close to, and I've had an chance to win it a couple times, and I've made mistakes, possibly due to me going out the rounds or whatever. But I want to win the average title, like go on, still winning round money. I don't want to win the average title just going and catching 10. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I know my style. I'm not going to be able to go swing over one, run him halfway down the arena, and probably catch him.
Right.
As good a chance as I have catching one going at him.
Right.
So I will be taking pretty much the same thing. I'm going to probably be going at the first one and let that set the pace of the rest of my finals. It's worked for me every year so far, so I figure I won't change it now.
Yeah, it's not broke, don't change it. Talk about what's in your rope bag. What are you taking out there? How do you prepare for the NFR rope wise? Are you cut off, are you taking 10 new ropes? Are you sticking with one? Are you doing different lengths? Talk me through that.
I use the 9.5 Vipers. I stick with those pretty much year round. I have some shoulder issues, so sometimes if I'm sore, I'll use a 9.0 Viper, but we'll be making sure my shoulder feels good going into the finals. And then I usually have like 4 or 5 ropes ready because of all the other opens and stuff we go to as well. But I usually will take a whole set of brand new ropes that I've cut off and stretched that feel good, and I'll go to a jackpot and I'll run one with each of them. That's not normally something I do regularly, but that's something I do before the finals.
Right.
And I say that I ordered my ropes for the finals a month ago. I try to get them ordered early and let them sit for quite a while before I use them.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then at the finals last year, I used 3 ropes. One short rope, which I say short is like 3 inches shorter than my normal rope, that I'll use on slower calves. And then 2, I use a pretty long rope. So there's 2 pretty long ropes. And then I use one until I have any doubts in it. And then I switch to the other one.
Right. Well, I like that game plan. And when you talk about your shoulder issues that you've had, did you use a bigger rope prior to that? Are you using a smaller rope because of that? And how do you manage your shoulder, throughout the year?
I was raised with using, like, you use a bigger rope because it gives you more weight on your rope, easier to feel your tip, easier to drop down to the calf, easier to swing in the wind. But
Mainly to swing in the wind where we came from.
yeah, but now I've like just when I started having issues with my shoulder, I tried to go smaller, and like my family just wouldn't. That's not what we did. So then I had the surgery and stuff, and then it was like I was under a lot of weight restrictions and a lot of other stuff. And then when I went to college, I started picking up little bitty ropes. 9.0s is what I used up until just a few years ago. I finally went back up to a 9.5. But it didn't hurt my shoulder. I could take a lot more swings. It didn't hurt my shoulders bad, and I didn't have issues with them in the wind or getting my tip down or nothing with them. In the wind, I just figured that a little rope cuts through the wind better than a big rope. That's what I always tell people. I was like, it's more aerodynamic. That's what
Whatever gives you the confidence.
Yeah, that's what I tell people when it works. That's not what I say when it doesn't work in the wind.
When it flies back in your face in the wind, you're like, maybe not.
But so I started using smaller ropes afterwards, and then as I've gotten stronger, I've stepped it up to a 9.5. 10.0s are still pretty big for me and heavy, like not necessarily big, but heavy, too heavy for me. But yeah. I do a lot of rehab. I have a physical therapist in Woodward that I go to every time I'm home and I get a chance that works on it. I have a massage therapist that works on it. I have Cassie McPherson. She works on it all throughout the year. Like the winter rodeos, we really get it lined out while I'm home enough. And then she flew out to a couple rodeos this year and worked on it. I got so many people in my corner helping me with it. I had a trainer for all year that helped me with like stabilizing the joint stuff, because I knew a lot about working out and stuff, but as a lifting wise and cardio stuff, but not necessarily stabilizing the joint, like for stability and mobility. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I learned, that was with Natasha and Championship Living. I feel like I learned so much about my body and how much better my shoulder is now than I ever even realized by doing that stuff.
That's awesome. And Champion Living is huge in my program as well. They're, instrumental to everything that we do. And as much as we put wear and tear on our bodies and how God designed us and things like that, we've really, the knowledge and the wisdom has helped tremendously. And I'm glad to hear it's helped you as well.
Yes, it's helped a bunch. There's so many, you just have to find what works for you, because there's so many things that don't work or that like you're just not going to do. Like if you don't like it, you're not going to do it. So there's so many options out there though now, especially even in the rodeo world. There's so many different people out there that are getting specific to rodeo athletes and rodeo events, that you can find somebody that can help you.
Yeah, 100%. And Natasha, she is awesome because she travels around and goes to a ton of rodeos. And so she's always there to help and work on us and do all the things that we need done. So that's very helpful.
She also does all the treatment stuff and the body work, which she's amazing at.
Yes, she is. If you've got a trailer, she'll come to you. It's amazing. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit. This year's going to look a little different for the NFR because we have a Kimes Ranch $1 Million Breakaway prior to that. So how is that going to look for you in what horses you ride, how you go about it? I know you're going to go there. You've qualified in the top 10 to get to run all of the calves at the Kimes Ranch made our breakaway for the big money, big rounds, big average. Has that factored into your plan for the NFBR this year?
Yes, it has, and I have all three of my horses sound right now. Colonel and Ray spent a long time at OE after Pendleton getting healed back up, and I rode Monster for a while. Monster's about to go down there and get himself ready to go, and I am so excited to have all three of them, and I have no idea what horse I'm going to ride where. I have full confidence in all three of them, but I am so excited for that Kimes Ranch still. I can't wait to see how good it's going to be, because it's so exciting. Just the production of the whole entire thing is exciting, and I'm super excited about the concerts, obviously.
Oh, really? Just mainly the concert focus.
The money, but then the concerts right afterwards, because
I
ain't gonna have to go nowhere to celebrate. I can just go to the concert.
She is Money Munsell for a reason, and I guess obviously got some dance moves up your sleeve too. Okay, so we always play a little bit of pro fantasy when we do the WNFR breakaway. You've played pro fantasy in the past, and have you had any success doing that, picking your team? What's that been looking like?
No, I actually don't play it that much, but my entirety of my family all has like 3 teams each.
Oh, so how does your family go about it? Does that get a little competitive? Do they put any pressure on you, because you're on their team?
Yeah, they all pick me first, and then they expect me to field the team.
There you go.
So my family loves it. For me, it's hard for me because I just don't. My focus is very narrow whenever it comes to this time of year.
What about your family and how they're picking? Did they just lean on you for guidance? Do they have anybody that they're like, ooh, I used her last year on my team? Do you talk about any of that, or you're just like, don't bother me, I'm focusing, I'm not reading my text?
They don't even ask me for advice because they honestly know better than me, because they actually watch the whole rodeo. So they have it like I'm at the rodeo and I watch everybody rope in the breakaway wise rodeo, but as a whole, I don't see it over the span of this person did good this mini rodeo, rope good at this mini rodeos. I obviously know who's placing where, but they watch every rodeo.
They track it all year long.
They have calculations on how they're gonna go when it comes around to this time.
That's one cool thing, talking to Gail and Casey Jones, the fans literally do strategize all year long. The Cowboy Channel has been one of the most, I'd say, tools for all of these fans to play pro fantasy, because they literally do get to watch us rope all year long. So they get to decide kind of what we have done in certain situations and who that they want on their team. So that does help the fans. And it's really cool that the Cowboy Channel is going to have Breakaway this year on. So that'll be neat at the NFBR.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about that, because every year after the finals, I get 20 calls or messages like, we tried to watch you and we couldn't find it. We watched the Cowboy Channel every night and it wasn't ever on. And I'm very excited to see that the Cowboy Channel is going to have it on. I think that's going to really open up our spectator pool for all the people that didn't understand how to find it on the other stuff, or just didn't know, or whatever the reasoning was.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, the past few years it's been on Wrangler Network, and Wrangler has been such an instrumental piece in all things in the breakaway. They've been so instrumental, whether it's been sponsorship money, support, anything that we've done. But I am excited too that this year it's going to be on the Cowboy Channel. I feel like everybody knows how to access that, and it's going to help the sport of breakaway, which in tune, oddly enough, is what Wrangler and Wrangler Network want, is to grow the sport of breakaway. So that's really, really cool to see that that's coming into fruition. It'll be super easy for everybody. So if you want to watch the Breakaway NFBR December 3rd and 4th, go watch the Cowboy Channel. Okay, so we're also doing a new series this year called Fancy's Burning Questions with the Women's Rodeo Association. We love the women's rodeo. They've been huge in the industry for women. I actually got to rope at the rodeo this year for $60,000. I only walked away with 15, sadly, but yeah, pretty cool deal. They have in May, and you get to rope, and you can head, heel, breakaway, all the things. But we have some fancies burning this or that question. So the way it works is I'm going to ask you 10 questions, and every question you answer, you will get $10 VRQ bucks to nominate. So you could walk away with $100 to nominate your next women's rodeo eventee.
Awesome.
Okay. Lindsay has come up with these questions. So, and also Caitlin Gustave and Sammy Joe, amazing ladies. So they're a little off the ball. I'm sure you'll be prepared.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with, what is your favorite karaoke song?
Don't Stop Believing.
Ooh, what skill are you proud of?
So this is weird, but I can tie like the pineapple knot in my reins.
How fast?
Real fast. Real fast.
Real fast. Okay, what is your favorite rodeo to nominate?
Reno. That one's always good to me.
It is good. Would you rather be a WRWC world champion or event champion?
WRWC world champion. Oh, no, event champion, I guess. That's one that pays the most, huh?
Oh, yeah. The event champion.
Can I win the event and then win the world?
If you nominate all year, I feel like you can. I mean, Martha has.
That is true.
Yeah. I mean, mainly we need to call and get coach from Martha on how to do all these things because she has been successful several years in a row at it.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Favorite dance move?
The sprinkler.
Really? You might just send me a video of that.
Yep, I've got it down.
Okay.
I want to best in junior high.
Best rodeo prank you've ever done?
Oh, it'd have to just be hiding people's horses.
That's nice.
I mean, we've turned a saddle around backwards once.
Oh, Raymond's had that done to him too.
You gotta be careful on the horse you pick to do that on.
I was gonna say you might not should do that on mine. Okay. Let's see here. Who is your first celebrity crush?
My first celebrity crush? Oh, Chris Ledoux. Random
that one yet. Favorite meal to eat while you're on the road?
Oh, scramble on my Blackstone.
Yeah, Taylor is a great cook. I will say that. If you can find her in a grill, sit down. It's really good. What is the most ridiculous thing you could buy if you won $60,000 from the Women's Rodeo World Championship?
The most ridiculous thing I could buy?
Mm-hmm.
That one's hard. Oh, a mini Hereford.
Ooh, that would be cute.
I got a mini mule and they could run together.
Would you rope the mini Hereford?
No.
Oh,
just pet.
Sorry.
Just pet.
Wow, no, with the fierce authority. Okay, and what is your last Google search?
Oh boy.
Look it up.
Video up if I get off, is it?
No.
Okay. Oh. Restaurants where you eat in the dark. So we saw this on a movie where they were eating in the dark and they pitch black and they almost ate an owl. And so I was Googling it. So I was like, that's not a real thing. And it is a real thing. You can actually go to one in Las Vegas.
Wow. So are you guys going to do it?
Probably not, no. Because it's like they don't tell you what you're eating.
Oh.
Like you have to use your other senses to figure out what it is.
So it might be crickets or steak. You just don't know which one.
Yeah. So no, out on that one.
Yeah, me neither. I'm not coming with you. Okay. So you are now $100 richer. You're going to get the VRQ bucks in your account, and you can now nominate your next event to be at the Women's Rodeo World Championships. It's pretty cool,
awesome.
Yeah. Congrats. So that was pretty good. Crickets, God. Okay. What is your favorite memory inside and outside of the arena from this year?
Inside the outside of the arena from this year. Oh my gosh. That's hard. There's so many good memories from this year. Like obviously inside the arena, finally achieving the win at Reno after making the short round 4 years in a row was super exciting. You know, I've curled a leg to win the rodeo, I've curled a leg to win second in the rodeo, and I've curled a leg to win the short round until this year I finally got it. The deal secured
around the neck.
Yeah, I finally got it around the neck. I don't know what kind of mental state I would have been in if I messed that one up again.
Might have been early retirement is what you're saying.
I let things go pretty easily, but that one might not have come out to the trailer for a little bit.
All right. What about your favorite memory outside of the arena?
Oh man, it just have to be like, I can't say that there's one, but uh my favorite times when we're rodeoing is when we kind of get to stay somewhere and we like all get together and we get a grill and stuff and just like hang out and be together, because a lot of the time we're running and gunning and going different directions. But at places like Puyallup and stuff, we actually kind of get to congregate and hang out and see how everybody's been doing, because everybody's been going through the same thing, but we haven't got to talk to each other much. And it's, rodeoing is stressful. So it's fun when you get to relax with your friends a little bit.
100%. Okay, last question for this year, 15 days of Breakaway. Who do you look up to and why?
I look up to, I can't say that there's anyone in particular right now. There's so many people. I feel like I learned so much through all my friends in the breakaway world. I'm always watching and taking into account, like, if you're winning, I respect you and I've probably learned something from you, that because I don't have a lot of breakaway background from before I started roping a few years ago. So I'm still learning a lot, and it's cool to be involved with so many people that have such a broad view of the breakaway world.
Yeah, I love that answer. Well, congratulations on your 4th consecutive NFBR this year, coming in at number 5, Taylor Munsell. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.